when the first whistle goes off, you make sure that you've really got to nail them from the start.
We always try and put in 100%.
We need to bring our A game, get out there and do our thing.
Everything on the line.
Every time you get out there on court, it's going to be tough.
It's a new year, new season.
Everyone on court and on the bench needs to be giving 100%.
Every little point we can get to get at the top of the table is important.
They've come out to play.
We've got a better team, so we can do it.
We have a talented lineup also.
A great team on paper doesn't always mean a great team on court.
We're really out to prove a point.
We want to be better than the opposition in every way.
One goal in it. This is desperate stuff.
We want to go out there and win.
Every goal counts, you have to go to the last whistle.
There are no second chances.
It's do or die.
The Trust Stadium in Auckland. The Trust Stadium in Auckland gets its first taste of ANZ Championship Netball for 2011. Tonight it's the new look Northern Mystics boasting 5 Silver Ferns and a team with yet again huge expectations for the year ahead. Tonight they take on the spirited Southern Steel. Hi there and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Stanley and welcome on in. The Mystics taking on the Steel. Catherine Harvey-Williams, former Australian captain, joins us in commentary. Kath, hard to believe that we're talking netball. It's about 28 degrees outside. It's February, but a huge year ahead for these players.
Oh, look, it's really exciting. It's great to be here, despite the fact that it is so hot. And there's an air of excitement around this competition, particularly coming off the back of that terrific victory that the Ferns had over Australia at the Commonwealth Games. Most people are hoping there'll be a flow-on effect, and this will be the year of the Kiwi. So I guess that remains to be seen.
A lot of people talking about this Mystic side being the underperformers in this ANZ competition. Is this their year? I know you've picked them in your top 4, as I have. What do they need to do?
Yeah, look, I pick them every year in the top 4, and it's about time they lived up to expectations. Last year, a lot of people expected them to make that top 4. They were pretty ordinary, particularly early on in the season. This year, they've recruited well. They've recruited some experience in Anna Scala and Megan Dean, and I think what Debbie Fuller is hoping that those players will bring a spine to the LG Mystics and will be the difference in the underachieving Mystics to the team that finally makes the top 4.
A lot of people are talking about that this game could, the outcome of this game could determine which of these two sides make the top 4. Is this competition that tight that it can come down to one game and the very first round?
I think you're losing your marbles and you're not getting enough sleep with your newborn, but actually you're probably right. This is so close. Last year it went down to the wire in terms of who made the final 4, and even though it's early on in the season, the team that loses tonight may well be disadvantaged. They won't see it that way, but at the end of the season, when they missed out on a top 4 by one game, they'll look back on something like this and think, well, it all fell to bits there. But look, there's a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, the Steel have suffered a significant amount of injuries, and I think that's going to cost them.
See, there you go. I'm not losing my marbles. Right, it's time to catch up with 2 of our other Sky Sport commentators, and let's head into the foyer where Andrew McVeigh and Bernice Mini are. And Reg, huge excitement that the season is finally underway.
There is huge excitement, and you might be losing your marbles, Annie, but I've lost Bernice Mini. I cannot find her anywhere.
She's behind you. She's defending.
Oh, she's defending. Bernice Mini, what are you doing? Oh, well, I figured I'm 4 years younger than Tanya Dalton and I can make a comeback. Very good point. And actually, building on that point, an injury-ravaged Southern Steel team. I mean, this North-South derby is normally magnificent, but it really will be affected, won't it? Even though Tanya, I'm sure, will be a legend.
I think it's definitely going to affect the game. Particularly, it's each area in the court. Cheryl Scanlon in the defence end, Chocolate in the middle, and Daneka Wapiiti in the shooting end.
Robbie Broughton, though, she's an astute coach, and you can never, ever underestimate a team from the Deep South.
No, and particularly a team from down south. Rob has the ability to really gel a team together, and they'll be getting out there to prove that they are good enough to foot it with the Mystics.
Summer netball, I do have to ask as a former player, Bern, playing in this heat, in this weather, when you've just come basically off the beach, how tough?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like we should be playing netball, and I'm sure those Southerners will be struggling with the heat as well.
Well, we'll be back to you very shortly, Annie, and I can promise you that I will keep Bernice away from a netball and an opponent.
Well, fat chance me and Kath are going to be getting the call up. We've only got one Sky Sport commentator getting the call up. Righto, let's head upstairs now, where commentator Jenny Woods is catching up with the general manager of the ANZ champs, Anthony Everard.
Well, Anthony, a few changes to the competition this year. One on display tonight, which is the introduction of 2 Australian umpires on an all-New Zealand game. Now, talk us through the thinking behind this move.
Yeah, look, it's something we've been looking at for a couple of years now, and spent a lot of time engaging with the coaches, the teams and the umpires themselves to see what they thought would work best. I guess what we're doing this year is a trial. We're doing the 3 games in Australia and 3 in New Zealand, and the aim behind it is really just to give both the teams and the umpires an opportunity to experience the different styles of play, and we'll be interested to see how that goes.
The other very obvious change, of course, is the fact that we're playing netball, early February. How hard has it been to make a viable draw to fit in ahead of the World Championships?
Look, it's been difficult. It's something that I guess was on our radar quite a while ago. So we spent a bit of time last year making sure that we were on top of everything nice and early, and everyone had the advance notice that they required. I think it's a huge credit to the teams, the fact that they are all ready to go in the middle of February. It's not necessarily a time that people are used to playing netball, but we had a great start to the season yesterday, and really looking forward to tonight.
And in a nutshell, what is the state of the championship?
Look, I think it's a question we get asked quite a bit, and I'd say that we're probably a little bit ahead of where we thought we might be. We are still only in the start of our 4th season. We had fantastic support up until now from our sponsors and broadcasters, many of whom have renewed for a further term. We've had great crowds, and the feedback from the public in general has been wonderful. So overall, really happy with how things are going.
And we're looking forward to another good game tonight. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks.
So some great changes being implemented this year in the ANZ Champs, in particular the umpiring one, Kath.
Yeah, it's nice that the ANZ General Manager is actually listening to the cries of the players and the supporters. It's not quite exactly what people want. People want an Australian and New Zealand umpire officiating at every game, but it's a step towards that. We've got to remember it's still a semi-professional sport. A lot of these umpires work in their budgetary considerations as well. So not quite ideal, but they're getting there. So I expect to see the ideal world in a couple of years.
Well, let's head back upstairs where earlier on Jenny Woods caught up with one of the star players of the Southern Steel. Yes, she may be one of ours, but tonight she's not. She's in Southern Steel colours, Tanya Dalton.
Thanks, Anna. Now, at Sky, we like to get as close to the action as humanly possible. Well, today we're excelling. Tanya Dalton, embedded like a war correspondent in the Southern Steel. Tanya called in as a late replacement, I guess, for Robin Broughton. Now, you say you're just going to sit and eat the lollies, but what happens if Robin says, get out there, girl?
Look, I guess that's why she brought me in. I guess Whoopi Edie's out. She wanted to replace experience with experience. She tried to find anyone else she could. I was the only name, and I guess she knows what she gets when I go out there, sort of thing. So if I go on, hey, it's all good.
And 5 years out, how fit are you?
Oh, look, I mean, I'm the sort of person I always remain relatively in shape. I've had a couple of runs with these girls over the last couple of days, and yeah, no, netball's a game I've played for so many years. It's sort of like riding a bike.
Well,
I hope.
Well, good luck and get out there and show them how it's done.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Well, there you have it. Tanya Dalton at 39. I must admit, that ponytail that she's got going on makes her look 5 years younger.
She's very young.
Do you think she'll be packing herself?
I think she'll be very nervous. The fact that she's not starting, she may well be called upon, and I expect she will. But then you've got to ask the question, does this competition allow someone who's been out of top-level netball for about 5 years come in and actually perform? These players are semi-professional. They're training day in, day out. Can Tanya Dalton mix it with these players? And I guess only time will tell.
Well, they've got significant injuries in the Southern Steel team. Not only Danica Whipper-Eaty, they've got Natasha Chocolate and Scanlon out. Yeah. That's a huge amount of firepower sitting on the bench.
Oh, look, could have been an absolute blockbuster, Annie. It's really unfortunate that the key players are missing in action. Robin Broughton must be tearing her hair out. But it's a young side, and I guess if you want to have a significant amount of injuries, the first game is the best time to have it because the opposition may well be rusty, and I think that's the Steel's only hope here this evening.
Well, it's time to head back to the foyer where Andrea McVeigh and Bernice Mini are, and Reg, lots of people flocking through those doors.
Yeah, it's going to be a bumper crowd in, isn't it? And if the atmosphere here in the foyer is anything to go by, it's going to go off inside. Now, since we're in Northern Mystics territory and we have talked about the Southern Steel, Bernie, I want to get your thoughts on Anna Scarlett being back in ANZ Championship, combining with Rachel Rasmussen, and you've had a bit to do with them as a combo.
Yeah, I did do a little bit of coaching with an under-21 New Zealand team many years back, and Rachel and Anna were combining then. So they know each other, they know their style of play. They're both the type of players that need to attack the ball, look for intercepts, and then back each other up.
The Mystics are the consummate underachievers of this competition. I know that Annie and Kath have mentioned it. How do they shake that tag?
Well, I think this is the opportunity, 2011, new season, they've got a new coach, and, they've got this really top heavy in terms of the forwards, the shooters, so they'll be wanting to get out there, get their court time underway.
Yeah, they're dripping with names, aren't they? Okay, give us a score. Margin anyway.
Well, I'm picking the Mystics. I think they're going to roll away in the last quarter in particular. I'm picking them by maybe 11.
Okay, I'm Mystics by 15, so sorry about that, Steel fans.
Oh, some massive scores there. Well, I'm going the Mystics as well. Righto, we've talked earlier on about the changes in this year's ANZ competition, but we've got some changes back here in New Zealand, our on-court magazine-style show. Kath, tell us about some of the changes.
Yes, we have to head to hear all about the netball action that is going on, but we are in the studio, and one of the main changes, we have a key player join us every week. This week it will be Wendy Frew, and she'll talk about certain aspects of her side, about the competition, and we also go inside the inner sanctum of the Steel and see Wendy Frew actually prepare on game day. So we talk to her about the things that she does to make sure that she is ready to play. And we also talk to Bernice Mini about a number of issues. And there's a quirky segment where you learn something about a player that's a little bit different from the norm. So tune in.
So that's Wednesday, Sky Sport 3, every Wednesday, 7:30. Righto, well, time to head for a quick break now. When we return, it's team lineups and coach interviews.
Netball. Watch that. Catch the weekly special guest, analysis, player profiles, expert opinion, and much more. On Court, new episode every Wednesday, Sky Sport.
The Southern Steel in an utterly comprehensive display. The Northern Mystics have done it.
They've got a few newcomers in their team with Paula Griffin and Natasha Chocolate as well. So, look, we'll just be going out there, hopefully out there with our A game and coming out with a win.
Always the first game is rusty, everyone's throwing balls at 100 miles an hour. So I think for us, if we can go back to our game plans and our structures and just play simple netball, don't throw huge balls out the back, I think we can take them down.
Welcome to the Trust Stadium in Auckland, where we're getting set for Game 2 of Round 1 between the Northern Mystics and the Southern Steel. It's North versus South. It's going to be a ripper. Hi there and welcome on into Monday night netball and the very first game of the round here in New Zealand. I'm Anna Stanley, and joining me, former Australian captain Catherine Harvey-Williams. Kath, the very first game here in Auckland. It's the Mystics up against the Steel. A lot of people have placed huge expectation on this Mystic side. They're boasting 5 silver ferns. Bit of pressure on them tonight.
And rightly so, but we talked about them last year, didn't we, expecting big things, and they got off to a slow start. But this team has a whole lot of talent. All eyes, I think, will be on Maria Tutaia. She has performed for the Silver Ferns overseas since that amazing performance at the Commonwealth Games, but not locally. So I think all the local fans will be hoping to see more of the Maria Tutaia that they saw in Delhi. She was outstanding.
Well, Debs Fuller, she's the third coach that the Mystics have had since the inception of this ANZ competition. Will that be a good thing, or will they just be more unsettled with a new coach in the fold?
No, look, it's always good to have someone fresh giving new ideas, and she's a young coach. She'll have her own ideas. I think she doesn't suffer fools, so she'll make the hard call. Megan Dean will be on the bench, so if she needs to bring her in at goal attack, goal shooter or wing attack, she will do so. So she's got some options up her sleeve, and I'm sure she'll use them.
And that was a very pregnant Debbie Fuller that you saw. She's actually giving birth next month, so she's having a couple of weeks away from the game.
She might be giving birth tonight, who knows?
Jenny Maycoff and the assistant coach will take over, and then she'll come back. So we know how hard that is to have a baby and then come back into the scene. Okay, well, let's take a look now and see the results that have happened so far. And well, the first game got underway in Australia yesterday, and a massive win. The Swifts over the premiership winners last year, the Adelaide Thunderbirds, 60-40, so a massive 20-goal win. And tonight, of course, it's the Mystics up against the Steel. Well, to one stalwart now in the Mystics. She's been around in all 39 matches for the Mystics. She's been around for the coaches, all the different players. And yes, it's pocket rocket Temi Para-George. And here's what some of her teammates have to say about her in the Game Breaker.
Terrific work from Temi Para-George.
Being Temi Para's teammate is pretty neat because she's not on the opposite team. She's very dynamic, full of knowledge, has been around for a very long time, so knows her way in and outside the court. Just really dynamic. Pocket rocket just really explains her really well.
It's real obvious to watching a game of netball when things are going wrong and people to crumble, but it fires her up, and sometimes I even question whether she does it herself so she can get a bit of mongrel in her, but she's very inspiring, and I think it's just within her. I don't think it'll ever leave.
Well, Temi Para-George, a huge link in this Mystic side, but she's coming off a significant injury which ruled her out of the recent tour to England, so she may be a little bit rusty, Kath.
Yeah, but all reports are that in the pre-season game she found some form very quickly, and we know what a talent she is. She is getting on, but she hasn't lost any of her pace. She certainly hasn't lost any of her nous, and that's what the Mystics will be looking for. Their captain to lead by example. Well, it's time now to take a look and see who the starting 7 is for the Southern Steel. And, well, with no Danica Iti Tapaya Selby Rickett, the sister of Tahuia Selby Rickett, gets the nod in at goal shoot. Yeah, they're pretty strong defensively. They've got De Bruyne and Selby Rickett. They had a strong year last year. Big match for Selby Rickett. She will be on Maria Tutaia. She really needs to cut her down. An experienced mid-court, Wendy Frew, has been around for a long time. Liani Leota, she was the MVP in last year's ANZ Championship. They'll be looking to her to be a dynamic force in that attacking end, particularly with the loss of Wipaiti, and plenty of pressure on Paula Griffin. Moved from the poles to the Steel, and she really needs to have a strong game if the Steel are going to be any chance. And there's the big name, Tanya Dalton, 39 years of age. Will we see her out on court? And I hope so. I hope we do too. Okay, Tapaya Selby Rickett, 19 years of age, first ANZ champ game. She must be pretty nervous. Yeah, look, they've got a backup in Dalton, but in saying that, we joke about Tanya Dalton being there, but I'd like to see Selby Rickett out there for the entire game. She's part of this squad. She's going to be there on a regular basis. This is her chance to gain some experience, so I'm actually hoping she puts in a solid game to give herself and her team some confidence. Well, who will she be marking? Let's take a look and see what the starting 7 is for the Mystics. And, well, she's got a tough ask here tonight, coming up against Anna Scarlett in at goalkeep. Yeah, look, a very strong Anna Scarlett, someone who'll be very excited to be out there in Mystics colours, having taken a couple of years off to be on the volleyball circuit. Young Kayla Cullen there in at goal defence will be hoping to a good start to the season. Temi Para-George, we talked about her. Rasmussen, a lot of pressure on her to stay in the Ferns, so she'll be keen to get her season up and rolling, and an amazing and very talented shooting in Latu and Tutaia. Doesn't come much better than that. They'll want those players to be on song here this evening. And Megan Dean, a very strong bench. Don't be surprised to see her out on court at some stage, but who knows which position. Could be wing attack, goal shooter. Well, let's head back down to the court where Jenny Woods is with the new coach of the Mystics, Debbie Fuller.
Well, Debbie, your first season in control of the Northern Mystics, what differences are we going to see?
What we've been pushing right along is to be more efficient with the ball and get it to the goal and score it. And we've got lots of flair and lots of vision and great timing in our team, and we want to make sure we execute with goals.
Well, thanks, Debbie. We're looking forward to it.
Well, it's time now to take a look and see what the players have planned out on court here tonight in our new segment called The Plan.
We are very well known to get a lot of ball from our defensive end and not being able to score it or take it to circle edge. So I think for us this year that's going to be huge.
Don't throw balls away. I think looking after our own possession and just not giving them confidence. I suppose when they get intercepts and, you know, throw amazing passes, that's when that team really lives. So I think just keeping it short and simple, working it to our shooters and giving them comfortable ball where the defenders aren't around them, I think should do the trick.
Well, we are moments away from the very first centre pass off here out at the Trust Stadium. It's always a cracker between these two teams. It's the North up against the South. So let's get into it as I now pass you over to our match commentator, Jenny Woods.
Thanks, Anna. And what better Valentine's Day present for netball fans but an early start to the 2011 ANZ Championship. It began yesterday with the Adelaide Thunderbirds crashing down to reality. Last year's champions on the receiving end of a 20-goal thumping by the New South Wales Swifts. Now the focus is on the Trust Stadium in Auckland, where, as we see, the Southern Steel take the court to take on the Northern Mystics. And as we've heard already, a side hit terribly by injuries, but also Robin Broughton, never say die coach, saying, hey, don't worry about the injuries, we're here to play. And that's the sort of attitude we're used to hearing from the Southern Steel. But here comes the Northern Mystics, a side which has so much hope on their shoulders. They've recruited well in the off-season, and they're dominant features of this game. Catherine Latu, Maria Tutayer, with me, former Australian captain Catherine Harvey-Williams. And Kath, we saw a 20-goal thumping or difference in yesterday's game. What's your prediction tonight?
Look, if the Steel had their strongest lineup, I'd say this would be an absolute blockbuster, but unfortunately they're decimated with injury. No Chocolate, no Wipaiti, no Scanlon, so they'll be hoping their youngsters put up a fight. I think the Mystics are so talented, and they'll see this as their opportunity to get their season off to a good start.
So not far away from a start now in this second game of the ANZ Championship 2011, and there's a feature. The umpires, Josh Browning and Rachel Eyre, and they're particularly interesting tonight because they are Australians, and this is part of this new feature in the championship where 3 games in New Zealand will be controlled by 2 Australian umpires and vice versa across the Tasman. The idea being that we can get rid of these perhaps different rule interpretations, whatever you call them. We'll see how it goes tonight. Not far from a start at the Trust Stadium. ANZ Championship netball underway, not quite the way the Steel would have liked it. Out of court, so an early chance for the Mystics. Sideline tonight, former New Zealand captain Anna Stanley. And Anna, interesting to see Debbie Fuller, the only new coach in the championship this season. How different do you think this Mystics team will be under her leadership?
Oh, look, I think she'll bring a huge amount of experience to this Mystics side. She was a great player in her day, a phenomenal defender, and she's pretty level-headed, Deb. She won't take much nonsense, so I'm sure she'll ship them into shape pretty quickly.
Not the ideal start for Selby Rickett. Again, we like to land their first one, the shooters, to give themselves some confidence.
Great ball, Grace Rasmussen at wing attack tonight. And Catherine, when you think some of the depth perhaps the Mystics enjoy this year, when you think that they've got Megan Dean sitting on the bench.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I think the Steel would be more than pleased to have Megan Dean back in their lineup. She was their captain last year, let's not forget. She was going to retire, was Megan Dean. And then they brought in Natasha Chocolate, did the Steel. She decided not to retire, tried to get citizenship, and that was thwarted. So here she is at the Mystics.
And I suppose, too, we should mention she has a relationship with some of these Mystics players, particularly Catherine Latu, Timipata George. They all played together for what was the Northern Force back in the days of the National Bank competition. So a bit of harem-scarum netballs to start with.
This is exactly what you expect in the first game of the season. Everyone's a bit rusty. And that's why the Steel are half a chance to do well in this game, because they have been decimated with injury, but it is the first game of the season. They'll be hoping the Mystics are a bit rusty.
And often because it's the first game and teams are rusty, that's when you really need to hit it hard and get a good win in the first round to make the most of your opportunities.
Varney's obstruction.
These two teams, they've played each other 6 times. And it's even Stevens. 3 wins apiece.
Goal defense obstruction.
The last one going the way of the Steel. So Tapara Selby Rickett gets the Steel on the board.
Obstruction, goal attack. Throwing wing.
That's loose from the Northern Mystics. And good defensive pressure from the Southern Steel. I suppose that's one feature of the Steel side, Catherine. Defence isn't going to be a problem for them, is it?
No, it's not, and they are very much a team-focused defence. Leota often gets her hands to the ball, even though she's so short. She has great elevation, and it's a strong point for them.
Varney contacted, Varney's offside.
Looks like they have a game plan too, the Steel, is Selby Rickett to lure Scarlett out of circles so that Griffin can go one-on-one with Cullen, who's a much younger and more inexperienced player. It's a good tactic by Broughton.
You can clearly see there the height advantage that Tapara Selby Rickett has, but it hasn't counted for anything.
That was a great tip from Kayla Cullen there, showing her presence earlier on in this game.
Had a birthday yesterday, Kayla Cullen, turned 19. And this is her first start in the ANZ Championship.
Played a little bit for the Mystics last year and did impress on a few occasions, so she'll be very pleased to be out there. Deserves it.
This is where the Steel are very patient. We know that they don't throw too many ball away. They're prepared to throw it around and certainly make use of the possession they get.
Brilliant combination, Selby Rickett and Griffin. Selby Rickett saw Griffin charging into the circle. Lovely bounce pass.
This is Griffin's third ANZ champ franchise team. And of course, she started with the Mystics. Just get going further south. And then the Pulse. She must have to stay with the Steel now.
And interesting, Anna, to hear her say a week or so ago she wants to be back in the Silver Ferns.
This Australian umpire is happy to be on New Zealand shores now, I think.
Barney's obstruction centre.
And Scarlett's arms making good presence early on.
Happy to have you here, sir.
Advantage obstruction wing. Advantage offside centre.
De Bruyn and Selby Rickett making Latu work hard for every ball.
And great positioning from George. She got on the top of the circle edge, prime feeding position.
A lot of the time there's not much to the Steel game plan, but it is a possession game, and that's why they're so successful, because that's what this game's all about. And of course, as I say that, Leota throws one over the sideline.
And Robin Broughton may well bite her fingernails after that pass from Liana Leota over the outstretched hands of Tapaya Selby Rickett. Coughs it up for the Northern Mystics.
Good vision.
If anyone's going to throw those long ones down, Henry's certainly got the vision.
Great encouragement for any side to have your shooters slotting shots like that. Perhaps that pass might have been on, but Latu deciding not to go for it.
Didn't even attempt to go for it.
It almost looked reachable, didn't it?
It did.
Early days in the season, I'll give her that. Latu was one of the outstanding shooters last year. Second most accurate, 92%. She wanted to continue on there. Selby Rickett's available.
Just not falling for the young shooter.
She's positioning well, Jenny. She's getting her opportunities, so maybe once the nerves settle, she'll start popping them in. Certainly holding her own at the moment.
Easy pickings for Tahunga Reo, Selby Rickett.
Yeah, not many Mystics players coming forward there to help out Henry, so she only really had one option on.
Yeah, this is certainly looking like the first game of the season for both these sides. They do play pre-season matches, but once the season proper starts, it's a whole different ball game.
Griffin finds a way back into the circle. 2 out of 2 for the Griffin.
Barney's break wing defence.
Unfortunate for Kayla Cullen. Couldn't control the feet.
She's a casual customer, looks quite skilled. It was a nice take, but not quite there.
Barney's obstruction. Contact, goal defender. Come in, goal defence.
A chance for the Steel to hit the front. It's short from Griffin. And Cullen tidies up.
Oh, strong drive, Henry. A bit too quick for everyone.
Jolene Henry in fabulous form on the Silver Fern tour to England.
Yeah, she's really come into her own, hasn't she, Henry? Used to struggle for a starting spot, but she's certainly cemented that now.
And cemented that wing defence position because, of course, she did start in the circle as a goal defender, and I guess that's an option that Debbie Fuller has in this Mystic side.
Now that shot short from Maria Tuteye, so here's a chance for the Steel to nudge ahead.
They'd be happy with this start, Steel. If they put pressure on this talented Mystic side, they'll start to question themselves.
Burgess fires it out to Frew.
Contact, goal attack.
It's a pretty obvious use of the elbow there by Griffin to give herself some space.
Goal attack.
Attackers love those, don't they, Annie?
Oh, great drive, Timmy Tara George.
Not such a great pass.
No.
Straight to the hands of Liana de Bruyn. Oh, that had vision. It just had a bit too much distance. Scarlett.
Really
Weighs up her options.
good defensive pressure by the Steel. They're coming off, then they're coming up. They're mixing it up.
Just those passes into Latu need to drop a little bit more in front of her. Selby, Rickett and De Bruyne are getting their hands on a few too many balls in there.
Not looking all that fluent, the Mystics, at the moment, but I think over time they'll settle into the game.
Latu just about taking Selby Rickett's head off with that follow-through on the hit ball. She means business.
Well read, Liana De Bruyne.
Bread and butter.
Such an experienced campaigner, Liana De Bruyne. Seems to get fitter every year.
Oh, unlucky for Scarlett.
Those arms.
She did the hard bit.
They're pretty long.
I'm not sure about that rule. You can't get rid of the ball whilst you're on the ground.
There was a great example of it in yesterday's game, Catherine, wasn't it? When Monia Gerard took the ball, fell to the ground, had the presence of mind to get up again and play on.
Things you do to play within the rules.
Grace Rasmussen coming right up and helping out in the mid-court.
No follow through for the rebound there. Such was the confidence from Latu, but it dropped.
It's a better outlet pass from the Steel. They were battling getting the ball out of this defensive end, so great vision from Burgess just to look down over the mess.
Goal defender.
Selby Rickett's quite mobile for her height. I was a bit concerned that she and Griffin might just end up on top of each other, but she's certainly creating some movement there. Just need them to drop.
George back from a little bit of ankle surgery.
Offside, wing attack. Yes. Advantage obstruction and offside wing.
Defensively, the Steel are really playing well. They're coming off. The Mystics have no idea where they're positioning. As a result, they continually pull in those intercepts.
Well, no one's coming forward for the Mystics. They're all relying on other people to do the work. So someone needs to just initiate and go forward for the ball.
Advantage obstruction wing.
And sneaky little no-look pass from Latu, and then puts the hand up. That's better from the Mystics.
Time, I think, has been called out by Selby Rickett.
So 6-4, the Northern Mystics lead the Southern Steel. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Wendy Frew using Erica Burgess at the back. Oh, and that's a challenging pass, to say the least, for Leota. Heads up into the crowd.
She's had to be one of the quickest in the games, Leota. Look at that.
Good to see
Good
her
agility.
back from injury too. Had a little bit of a niggle in England. Didn't see too much of her on the Silver Ferns tour.
Advantage contact set up.
Again, the Steel just battling in this mid-third to get the ball out. So great defensive pressure from the Mystics there.
Yeah, no one coming forward, Annie.
Ten turnovers apiece. That's an awful lot of loose ball. Tutaya slaps down another one.
A lot of talk about Tutaya and her lack of consistency. But people are hoping that she would turn the corner at the Commonwealth Games, where she was certainly the star of the show. It was an extraordinary performance, and she'll want to build on that.
And she's only on 3 from 5 at the moment, 60%, so she'll certainly be wanting to lift her shooting stats.
And just the Steel, just these finishing touches eluding them at the moment. They trail by 4, heading into the final 2 minutes of the first 15. Almost too sneaky from Catherine Latu.
Well, you could see Tutaya pointing to Latu who to throw to. I think maybe she just needs to post up, and as Latu did, throw it into her.
Nice transition by the Steel. That was pretty simple down the side of the court. The timing's spot on by some of these players.
Contact.
That's beautiful piece of play. Let's not forget this attacking line of the Mystics played together a lot last year. Rasmussen, George, Tutayer, Latu. So they know each other's game.
Well, this attack end will certainly goal shoot, goal attack, wing attack. Could be the future of the Silver Ferns when Van Dijk retires.
Well, that's right,
Latu
Anna.
could be in there.
Latu eligible for Silver Ferns from next year. I don't think Irene Van Dijk's going to retire, is she? She might be comforted tonight to know that there's one player older than her in the competition, even if it is just for one game. Double figures for the Northern Mystics. Into the final minute of the first quarter.
I think they're showing just how much more talented they are than the Steel at the moment. The Mystics are underperforming with the quality of players out there, but they're leading this game by 4 goals. So, you know, this game could well blow out.
Wing attack contact. Barney's claws, wing defender. Contact, goalkeeper.
Great pass from Leota into Selby Rickett.
Scarlett yet to put her mark on this game. Selby Rickett doing a fine job down there.
Yeah, she's certainly holding her own.
So have they got time for one last quick goal? No, they haven't, as Rachel Eyre signals the end of the first quarter. It is the Northern Mystics leading the Southern Steel 10-7. Second quarter underway. Wendy Frew eventually finding Leota.
Having a good tussle, Henry and Leota, quality players, teammates of the Ferns. Pretty relaxed customer, Selby Rickett, settled into this game nicely. Good start to the second quarter.
She's a bit like her sister. They're both very unemotional, aren't they? Won't give much away.
Yeah, she's a smart player, Latu. That one comes off.
A little smack of the hands between Latu and Tutayer.
Going advantage offside. Send the third.
Barney's over a third.
And Latu just very happily picks up that ball that just bounces her way and makes them pay.
There are segments in play that sometimes lift aside or deflates them, and that was one. The Mystics would have taken great heart from that transition.
Contact, goal defense.
And that just opened up the shooting circle for the Mystics.
She's certainly a target in there, Catherine Latu. She's got such a strong hold. She's not hard to find in there.
Barney's break goal attack.
The Northern Mystics push their lead out to 5. Biggest difference of the game so far.
Struggling to get the ball out. A lot of cross-court passes between these two going on. Leota helps out.
Yeah, I think Henry's doing a great job down this defence end. She's really marking tight on Leota and Frew.
Oh, goal defence.
Cullen, a lot of penalties to her name. 10. Still, her opposition, the entire team, have just 11, so she needs to tidy up a little.
Tutayer almost lost sight of George for a moment. Realised she was right behind her. Daintily done, Catherine Latu.
Just sense this attack end getting a little bit more confident now.
Yeah, they're finding their rhythm. George looking over the mess and has put in some great feeds into Latu.
And again, we see that ball from the Steel just a little overcooked.
Again, Grace Rasmussen prepared to come right up.
Latu's putting on some good holds against De Bruin.
Bunny's contact centre.
Such a strong body player, Latu. I don't think New Zealand will be too disappointed to have her in their mix after the World Championships.
That's right. Selby Rickett is a strong competitor, but she was just bounced off by Latu.
Bunny's obstruction wing. Bunny's claws win attack. Bunny's obstruction.
The Mystics now break out of that corner. Bobble ball settled by George. Oh, good work, Selby Rickett.
This is where they get held up with steel. They really need to penetrate quickly, otherwise it's a struggle for them.
Off the hands of Jolene Henry.
Shooter, contact.
And that one going against Tapar Selby Rickett.
Umpiring so far, Jenny, has been pretty good to Australian umpires.
Oh, it's excellent. Haven't noticed it at all.
It's always a good sign when you don't notice the umpires.
Erica Burgess trying to perhaps suck a penalty.
George finding herself on top of Tanya a little bit too often.
Strong rebound, Latu.
Contact win defence.
Now Leota trying to create a lot of drive down there in attack. They're getting a little bit too static, so she's trying to use her speed to cut inside Henry.
Yeah, that was a nice front cut, we call. Getting the front cut in front of her opposition.
Burgess nearly able to pick that up, but George just that little bit quicker.
Almost a short pass.
Wouldn't be too many people who can beat Temepara George to the ball. Beautifully finished off by Maria Tutaia. Pretty good stat so far for Catherine Latu. Just the one miss. Tutaia's figures climbing in the right direction as well.
Helen and Scarlett working the circle well, splitting it. Yep. Well, that was a nice push off from Griffin, but picked up for the step.
Suddenly opened up for it. But again, the steal unable to finish.
That was sitting up there for De Bruin, but she has to focus so much on Latu. She's a bit low to let her go.
Now a chance for the Southern Steel to peg one back.
Griffin sits out a lot as a goal attack, so therefore she's just not providing her team with another option. She needs to come forward a little bit more.
That was great work from Leota then. She was instrumental in getting that ball down into the attack end. She was penetrating, hitting the circle edge, and that's what the Steel need, a bit of firepower down this attack end to get the ball
See from
flowing.
those shooting stats too, Anna, for the Steel, their shooters are starting to settle. Figures starting to look a little bit better. They've cut the deficit to 5 for their centre pass to come. So a good little rally here from the Steel.
We see a lot of Leota because Griffin does play back.
And that was good work by Griffin. Kept Scarlett on her back.
Looks so relaxed a lot of the time, Paula Griffin.
They've scored the last 3 goals, the Steel.
Bunny's obstruction.
Misses those when she's nice and settled and in her range, which is about halfway or 2/3 out of the away from the post.
We hit the halfway mark of the second quarter. Mystics up by 5.
Contact goal attack, centre third.
Through, trying to look through those long arms of Jolene Henry, just being given no room.
A nice piece of play. Lovely cross-court pass by Griffin. Opened it up for Selby Rickett.
Beside the goal.
Still struggling a bit, the Mystics. Not a great deal of fluency considering the talent down there. Yeah.
The little look from Grace Rasmussen and the ball just pops up. De Bruyn just a little late coming through on that. So this is a tough assignment for Selby Rickett.
It's enjoyable as a defender 2-on-1 because no one gives you a chance, so when you do get it, you feel like a hero. But it's not often you do.
That was a great drive from Lutto on the baseline and superb vision from George.
That's a better strong drive by Griffin. I've watched her coming out for the ball. She does lope. She needs to put on a strong drive as she did then and draw the contact. Having a good tussle, George and Fruit. Strong body players.
So good pressure from the steal here. The Mystics having to go back to the transverse line and reset.
Oh, that was the right idea from Lahu. She knew De Bruyn was right there and had to loop it, but she just didn't loop it enough.
Good pressure by the attackers from the Mystics to slow that ball down because they're still on a roll.
That is instruction, keeper.
Lovely bounce pass from Leota.
Strong contest there by Cullen.
Yeah, Tapai just needs to do a little bit more work off the ball to get Cullen off her.
Yeah, wrong positioning by Cullen. She stood straight behind Selby Rickett.
Oh, nice hand, Scarlett.
That ball just not falling for Tapai Selby Rickett, hitting the ring and bouncing out. 7 from 11 so far. Good work, steal defence. Forcing the held ball. They've certainly got a good quorum of support. They might be playing in Auckland, but there's plenty of Southerners here.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was one apiece last year, Jenny, but they both won away from home, so the home court advantage doesn't seem to exist.
Through, bouncing it over the leg of Cullen. So this game ebbing and flowing. 3 goals the way of the Mystics. Now the last 3 go the way of the Southern Steel. And there's just 4 goals in it. Erica Burgess plucks that out of the air.
Having a good game, pulled in a few balls there at wing defence.
She's a player you don't often notice, actually, isn't she, Kath? I guess that's the plight of the wing defence, isn't it?
She's an unassuming player. She's probably a good matchup for Grace Rasmussen too. It's away again now for the Mystics. And De Bruyn's got no chance here.
Sort of catches Tute as she bounces in. And that was a good get by Anna Scarlett at the other end.
Such a difference. They scored off that. It could have been 17-20 for the Steel. Not to be. 5 goals down now.
Shooter, contact.
That call going against Tapai Selby Rickett. Both these sides have sets of sisters in them. The Selby Ricketts for the Steel. The Northern Mystics have the Rasmussens. Rachel Rasmussen on the bench so far tonight. Just as the Southern Steel get close, the Mystics pull away again.
And that was advancing the ball for not getting it quick enough to the centre in the centre circle.
But contact advantage offside.
Timmy Para-George helped into the shooting circle by Wendy Frew.
Good effort, Selby Rickett. But too strong under the post.
So a strong finish to this first half by the home side. But there's, oh, what a lost opportunity. Griffin free in the shooting circle, but just a bit much on the pass. Scarlett hefts it down court to Grace Rasmussen.
A lot of balls are sitting up. Defenders are umming and ahhing about whether to go for it or not.
Tutaia unable to hold on to that one. So the steal. Patiently passing it round.
Yeah, really good D. Late stage of the quarter, and they're away. DeBrain not really onto that one. Latu coming at the ball, giving her team a chance to score. A big play.
Debbie Fuller might be reasonably happy with the way things are going. Her side has an 8-goal lead in the dying moments of this first half. Can they make it 9? Great piece of defence from Liana DeBrain. Forces the held ball.
Need to get this in pretty quick.
They sure do, but Kayla Cullen flies through, spoiling it for the steal. The two defenders give each other a bit of a pat on the back because it is half-time at the Trust Stadium in Auckland, and it's the Northern Mystics leading the Southern Steel by 8 goals, 24-16. We'll be back soon with all the figures. Welcome back to the Trust Stadium in Auckland, where it is half-time between the Northern Mystics and the Southern Steel. The Mystics comfortably ahead at the moment by 24 goals to 16. But Catherine Harvey-Williams, they haven't really asserted themselves yet, have they, the Mystics?
No, they haven't. They're building as the game goes on, Jenny. Their shooters are coming into the game a little bit more. They're starting to pass the ball around, but they don't have the fluency that you would expect from a team like the Mystics with so much talent. But the Steel, at the same time, they're putting a lot of strong defence on. I think DeBrain is combining very well down there in defence with Selby Rickett. But I think the Steel just let go of that quarter toward the end. If they just held on a little bit, the gap would be a lot more narrow. But the Steel certainly are still in this game.
They certainly are, and they came in with a terrific attitude. Even though hit by injuries, they've said, no excuses, we're here to play, we're set to go. And I guess you never underestimate a Southern Steel side.
No, look, they have overachieved. A lot of people tag the Mystics as the underachieving side, but the Steel, let's not forget, have made the finals over the past 2 seasons when a lot of people didn't expect them to. So they're a talented lineup. They've got a lot of youngsters out there. They've suffered a lot of injuries, but they're still in this game, Jenny. 8 goals is not a lot in the game in netball, and with a coach like Robin Broughton, they'll certainly be in it. But Tanya Dalton, that'll be an interesting one to see if she comes on. But Liana Leota, she's certainly the key for the Steel. She creates a lot of movement down there. Griffin's getting caught behind her player, so Leota is actually virtually in the game every second pass. I'd like to see Griffin do a bit more work for her side.
And speaking of Tanya Dalton, I'd like to know how many lollies she's eaten by now. She was saying that's one thing she was looking forward to by sitting on the bench. But half-time here, 24-16, the Northern Mystics over the Southern Steel. Second half action underway at the Trust Stadium. Northern Mystics lead the Southern Steel 24-16.
Of course, changes to the Mystics. Rachel Rasmussen in at goalkeep, and Anna Scarlett moves from goalkeep to goal defence. So it's Rasmussen on Dalton.
Contact, keeper. Just step it back where you were. Bunch defending, no court.
Oh, what a pass. Great hands, Kat Latu.
We're now joined by Northern Mystics coach Debbie Fuller. Well, Deb, you've had your first half of ANZ Championship as a coach. How do you think things went?
Yeah, we've got lots of ball back on defence and we just need to score it in our shooting end. So once we get that sorted, I think we'll be right.
You've made a change in the defensive end, Rasmussen on Kalanoff. Is that just to see what options you've got and which ones perform better out there?
Yeah, it is. It's to Rachel and Anna have been working well as a combo. And yeah, we just want to try different things and mix up with Anna out at goal defence. It changes up the precision of their passing because of her length of her guard, in the same way that Liana de Bruyn's killing us in that area.
Thanks for your time, Debbie.
So while listening to Debbie Fuller, her side have done well. They've pushed the lead out to 10 goals. 27-17 they now lead.
Barney's contact.
Tight marking in that Mystics defensive circle.
Scarlett will enjoy a run out at goal defence. Sometimes her coming out of defence is a scary moment. She'll want to try and keep things in control.
Let's go sideline now to Southern Steel coach Robin Broughton. Robin, you've brought Tanya Dalton on. What do you want from her?
Oh, just ready to just open up a bit things there, and it gives Te Power a great. That's been hard for her out there. First game in ANZ, and at 18, it's not all that easy. So, you know, it's just a break for the team.
Besides pulling Dalton onto the court, what other areas do you need to improve on, Robin, to try and get back into this game?
Goal shooting.
Simple, isn't it?
I mean, we've just got to get them in. Like, our Ds have picked up a lot of ball, and if you're not getting them in, that's, you know, it's really hard work for the rest of the team.
Thanks,
Here it comes again.
There is a great example of what Robin Broughton was talking about, and her defensive unit has done well. That's a nice move from T. Dalton.
I'm not even sure that her feet moved off the ground. It was a body dodge.
Her ponytail did.
And she finishes.
But this is a classic example of efficiency. You don't need to be the most fit player out there. You just have to be efficient.
I bet they'll have that on replay in the Dalton home.
But she could well make the difference if she puts on moves like that. It's not all about fitness. It's not all about strength. It's about using a wise head, and Tanya Dalton certainly has that.
And certainly her strength is to get under the goalpost and get the goals in, and clearly that's what the Southern Steel need to do to get back in this game.
And like Broughton said, they're getting enough intercepts, enough turnover ball. They just need to nail it, just like Tutaia did for the Mystics on that occasion.
Interesting, those shots from Tutaia. You think that she's doing them all the time, but I can tell you she's not. She's running at 63%. 12 from 19 tonight. But the person doing the damage for the Mystics is Latu, 16 from 17.
And she often does. She often is the shooter, Latu, that has the higher stats.
And one of the great things about her, Annie, is she rarely has a bad game. She's always at least a solid performer, if not a star.
So if the Mystics can get a game where two shooters are on song for, you know, the remainder of the season, then they're certainly, you know, in contention for the top four, if not, you know, to make the finals. But consistency down that attack end has been a problem. Megan Dean could be the one that fixes all that, but she's sitting on the bench.
So the lead opening out now for the Mystics. 12 goals the difference.
It's a pretty basic error, stepping.
There is Megan Dean, remember, coach of the, captain, I should say, of the Southern Steel last season. Now, part of the Northern Mystics. Oh, well done, Paula Griffin, making amends for that earlier error.
Griffin needs to be on her game here because Dalton's such a smart player. Griffin needs to keep her on the ball because there are times where her eyes wander and she's not ready for the pass into her.
And that's a great tussle between Rasmussen and Dalton. Dalton wins the battle, gets the contact.
Be interesting to see what happens if Dalton gets a taste of it, enjoys herself out there. She'll be back on a regular basis, or this is the end of her cameo appearance.
She quite liked that one. She gave herself a bit of a clap.
She's on 100%, 3 from 3. We'll never hear the end of it.
She has a terrific relationship with Robin Broughton, does Tanya Dalton. So when the call came, Tanya said she had no option but to say, yes, I'm there in your time of need.
Meanwhile, the Northern Mystics march on. And there is the difference in the shooting percentages. It's marked.
Court just opening up for the Mystics. No defence, no pressure from the Steel. Too easy.
Yeah, mid-court really need to pick up there.
Now time's being called by the Southern Steel. Erica Burgess again coming to the sideline to receive a little bit of attention. Saunders was a member of the New Zealand fast net side that did so well, surprised everyone by winning. Under the guidance, I might add, of Robin Broughton. That's a great pick-up from Liana de Bruin. And she has to do it again.
Gee, the Steel would have been hoping to have Megan Dean in their lineup for this game. She and Tanya Dalton would have been a delight to watch. Both very smart players with a lot of court craft.
Oh, well done, Anna Scarlett. Just put that element of doubt into Paula Griffin. Almost seems to have the ability to hang in the air, Scarlett.
Another chance for the Steel, as Broughton would say.
And De Bruin hauls in another one.
She's picked up some good ball tonight, De Bruin, especially the high ball.
She's a great example of a player who's come into her prime as an older player. If we're going to talk about age.
And a player that's a mother now, had a baby. I often say that you can come back bigger and better and stronger after you've had a child.
Oh, well, does that mean you're coming back? You've had 3.
It's interesting, though, comparing Australia to New Zealand in that respect. You don't find many mothers on the other side of the Tasman. They figure that if they take time out to have a baby, they lose their spot, so they delay until the end of their career. It's a numbers game.
That one not falling, Falatu. So can the Southern Steel put the brakes on the momentum that the Northern Mystics have built up? Halfway through the third quarter.
Yeah, smart play. Just little dodge was the preliminary move by Dalton. Rasmussen turned her head and Dalton was gone. Her daughter would have a much delight in seeing her mother out on court. She'll get bragging rights at school tomorrow. Taylor loves her netball.
And she'll probably have a full critique for when her mother gets home. Nice follow through from Paula Griffin.
Strong drive to Tyer, opened it up straight over the top. It's good teamwork.
Yeah, nice swing too. Often when you swing the ball from one side or the other, it just opens it up in the circle, gives the shooters time to think about where they're going to go.
Falatu gets it second time round.
It's a better drive from Griffin. Paula Griffin, there's a spot there in the Silver Ferns in the attacking circle. Griffin you know, may well try and put her hand up for that, but I don't know that she's got a strong enough drive on her to dominate that goal attack position. We haven't seen much of that tonight.
Well, I guess if you compare with the two shooters that are probably in there, either Anna Thompson or Grace Rasmussen, that she'd have to take out, and probably shooting, she's got it, but as you say, yeah, her court play just doesn't quite have that punch and drive as Grace Rasmussen does.
But isn't it interesting, Anna, to see, you know, Grace Rasmussen playing for this Mystic side at wing attack?
Yeah, which I think is her position. I personally don't think she's a goal attack. She's too short, especially on the international stage. Wing attack's her position.
Yeah, Rachel Rasmussen caught off balance on one foot.
Nice ball, Leota. Saw the opening down low.
And again, Dalton under the hoop.
5 from 5. This is a better little period of play from the Steel. They've cut the lead down to 9. It had blown out to 13.
Yeah, it's a good switch, Selby Rick and De Bruyn. They understand each other's game very well. When the goal attack or goal shooter swings and has the front cut, the other one will pick her up and the teammate will drop back. It's a good unit.
Saunders finds Leota.
A nice pop from Griffin.
It's interesting seeing Griffin pass off.
Dalton's starting to look as though she's never been away. In fact, the call gone against her, though. That goal not counting.
Didn't see what that was for. Stepping call against Henry. A bit of back and forth going on here. Opportunity here for the Steel to try and close the gap. Rasmussen was part of the Mystics squad 08 and 09. Not wanted last year, so picked up by the Pulse for a few games, performed very well, and here she is.
And now, yeah, home base. Sorry, Catherine. Tanya Dalton looked uncomfortable in that earlier interaction. Almost might have been an ankle. Went across.
I think it's her calf. I heard her say to Jenny. Well, she stays pretty fit, Tans. We heard beforehand, you know, saying that she runs a lot, but as you say, it's that short, sharp movement that she probably hasn't been doing for a wee while, and the calf's taken the brunt of it.
Can you believe, though, this luck of the Southern Steel? If it's not calves, it's feet.
It's not a young calf, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it's a contradiction, really.
I was just trying to think, what would you call a young calf?
Unborn, Jenny. Pity, 9 goals in it. They're making a bit of a comeback there to Steel. They want to continue with the momentum.
That was a very high shot from Latu. Buries her head in the hands. Such a cool customer, Catherine Latu. Selby Rickett to Selby Rickett. And Rasmussen, though, doing very well to not only disrupt the play, but then managed to get it off Selby Rickett and out of court. Here come the Mystics.
Oh, Catherine Latu.
Crowd pleaser.
George needed to give that one in. She threw it across the circle. He ran halfway around the circle and was on, but George opted to throw it to the top.
Back to 10. Just over a minute remaining. Great take, Latu.
Strong hands, Latu. Rarely drops a ball.
There's always talk, isn't there, Catherine, about Latu's size, but I wonder if her very size is what makes it so difficult for opponents.
Now, the thing is, you can be big and be a bit slow on your feet, but Latu has got quick footwork. She's a smart player. She uses it to her advantage, so I don't think it's hindering her performance at all. And in the last couple of years, she's really come of age. She, as I said earlier, rarely plays a bad game, and she'll be a great acquisition for the Ferns. There's no doubt about that.
Already included in the Ferns training camps.
hasn't been available because she represented Samoa at the last World Championship, so there is a stand-down period.
Mystics trying to hold it up here.
The countdown is on. And they've done it. Good defence, the Northern Mystics. As it is the end of the third quarter, they've opened up a 10-goal lead. The Mystics lead the Southern Steel 36-26. Stadium, and there we see Megan Dean injected into the game for the Northern Mystics at wing attack, and straight away puts in a beautiful ball to Latu.
So clearly that's a position that Debbie Fuller will be looking at Megan, probably not so in the goal attack position with Tutaia there, so this certainly could be another strong lineup that we could see out on court more than once.
Hold defence. Sorry, goalkeeper, I beg your pardon. Goalkeeper, hold. Step forward.
Nice interchange between George and Tutaia. Finished nicely as well.
Had a pretty quiet game by her standards, Maria Tutaia. There's a lot of expectation on her shoulders now that she's come into the limelight significantly with her performance at Delhi. She's a superstar, but we just like to see more of that superstar performance.
I mean, how hard is it, Catherine, to come down from the heights of a game like that? And let's face it, she's not, she's still young. Right?
No, well, that's right, and her status has changed overnight, Jenny. Before she was a strong player, but now when she, for instance, when she went to England, people expected big things of her, and she was certainly a mainstay for the Ferns. She didn't perform at that level that she put out at Delhi. So a lot of people will track her performance over the next season or two to see if she can be called a superstar of the game permanently, as opposed to just performing at that level, on the biggest stage at the Commonwealth Games. But
Megan Dean, that's what she brings in that wing attack position. She's got phenomenal vision, which she has at goal attack, and look, she can bring it in at wing attack. Saw Latu on the baseline through the gap.
And Anna, was that just about timing, just knowing to wait?
Yeah, absolutely. She could see Latu driving the baseline.
She's always been a creator, Megan Dean. She's the one that brings other people into the game and sets up the positioning. Very smart player.
Contact centre advantage offside.
Well, she's really a game breaker, isn't she? And you look at this Mystic side, the 7 that are out on court, and you could potentially argue that there's one in every position. So they've certainly got the goods this year, the Mystics.
Good friends with Temepara George as Megan Dean. It was George that enticed her to come out of retirement, perform for the Mystics. Great pickup. Dean's actually living with George out west, so she's experiencing a different side of Auckland. Last time she was here, she lived at Ponsonby, so...
Out south, isn't it?
Beg your pardon. I think she told me west, actually. She can't even get it right.
Good to hear she's getting around.
Contact.
They wait for the return of the ball.
Contact. Goalkeeper.
After all that, it's contact. Falling nicely for Anna Scarlett. Drawing plenty of applause from this pretty healthy crowd at the Trust Stadium.
They're really starting to get a move on now, the Mystics. Dean has really injected something here. It'd be interesting to see. Dean's been brought in as an impact player. If that remains the status quo during the course of the season, or if Fuller sees that she is such a great acquisition, she wants to see her in the starting 7. What do you think, Annie? You're a former wing attack.
It's a tough one because you've got Grace Rasmussen and Silver Fern on the bench, but based on today's performance, you'd have to say Megan's by far injected something down this attack end. She's got that finesse and that speed and vision, which Grace has, but I don't know, there's something about Megan Dean. I'd nearly have her on the court ahead of Rasmussen.
I mean, Anna, is that something that's in the coach's mind, the fact that Grace Rasmussen would be a Silver Fern, or is that something that, I mean, she wouldn't care about, would she? All she's worried about is her franchise.
Well, I think, yeah, any good coaches shouldn't care about those sorts of things. They need to put the best 7 that are out on court, regardless of whether they're Silver Ferns or not. And I think, you know, and I'm pretty sure Debs will do that.
So 10 minutes left in this game in the opening round of the 2011 ANZ Championship. A 14-goal buffer now for the Northern Mystics. A resigned-looking Robin Broughton, perhaps.
Must be frustrating for her, though, preparing her side, knowing that she's got a pretty talented lineup and losing the likes of Scanlon, Whip-Aiti and Chocolate before the first game. Seriously frustrating.
And you just wonder how long those players are out for. You know, if they're out for any longer than 2 or 3 games, that you could essentially write off the season for the Steel, making the top 4.
Well, Cheryl Scanlon, you think of, and I think, jeepers, I have trouble thinking when I last saw her on court. I think it was for one brief appearance last year. She's just been dogged by foot injuries.
They're having a ball out there now.
So are the crowd. They're getting into it. Tutaye showing her confidence now.
And that's what you've got to love about Tutaye. Never shy to put up the ball from just inside the circle. Time called, this time, I think, by Liana Leota for the Southern Steel. Just getting a little bit of ice applied to her calf. And don't forget, on court, Wednesday night on Sky Sport, you can get all the rundown on the games of this round and look ahead to the games of the next round, because boy, this championship this year, Catherine, it's nothing if not intense.
No, look, you know, there are a lot of teams out there who've recruited well and who could win this competition, and every game is extremely important. A lot of people are hoping the Kiwi sides get up there. The Magic, the Mystics are certainly not teams with a lot of talent. But, you know, the winning away from home, winning across the Tasman is the thing that eludes these teams, Jenny. And, you know, I'm not sure what it is, but they'll be certainly needing to rectify that if they want to be successful this year.
Yes, I must admit that is a small fact that had eluded me, was the fact that only the Magic have won across the Tasman. There's a pretty dejected-looking Tanya Dalton. She was going so well.
6 out of 6, Jenny, and she was only on there for 12 minutes, so she was certainly performing extremely well. I think she'll be keen to get back in the commentary box, because it's harder to injure your mouth than your calf.
It's not quite so dangerous here.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, if you've got a camera, can you please turn your flash off? Thank you.
So Leota, okay, back on court. Remember, she did have a little bit of an injury niggle while she was away with the Silver Ferns. And my word, the Southern Steel won't want to lose her.
And we talk about coaches and looking after their own. You know, you asked Ruth Aitken and take this in the right context, but I think she wouldn't care if the New Zealand side won this competition as long as all her players were fit and prepared for the World Championships. So, you know, it's just what your role is as a coach. It's all about your team and winning what you're there to do.
No way through for George. She goes back to Henry. And they work it again, the Mystics. Contact called against Latu, pushing off. And perhaps just another little push.
Almost 20 penalties, the difference there. But, you know, it just goes to show that perhaps the Steel are chasing a bit now to the contest. And lovely ball, lovely tap there by Jolene Henry. She's had a fine game, turning the ball over a lot for her side. Nice and steady through the court.
And those are hard balls to get right on the circle edge there. So she did well picking up that intercept, Henry.
She certainly relished her move from the Magic to the Mystics.
So read it well, didn't go offside, which is often what wing defenders do.
Not a great pass, mind you.
Yeah, true.
How did Latu get her hands to that ball?
She knows what's going on out there, that's for sure.
All in vain, though. The steal. Just trying to see if they can add a few more goals. They trail by 16. And let's face it, not a position they're used to being in against the Mystics. Generally, their encounters have been fairly close.
Good experience for Selby Rickett, though. Getting some time out on court. Getting an understanding as to how difficult it is out there. Done some good things.
That made it look easy. Paula Griffin had all the room in the world.
Yeah, talk about Griffin's speed, Jenny, and I'd actually prefer to see her at goal shooter, I think, because she's a reasonably smart player. She just doesn't have the injection of speed that you need at goal attack. And often with tall, loping shooters these days, you do need someone with a bit of mobility.
The margin goes back to 15.
Saunders got a lot of energy out there.
Selby Rickett eventually finding Leota, who's been all over the court. Yes, I thought Rachel Rasmussen had that. She's not had a bad game, Rachel Rasmussen, since she came onto the court.
Just a little bit far for Tutaye. The move was certainly on. Shooters boast about that.
Too casual by the steal. Underestimated the speed of Latu.
As a defender, it's great to see your teammates down the other end actually pulling in balls like that. Tutaye is really coming into the game now. And this is the sort of performance from Tutaye that you want to see throughout the entire course of the game. Relaxed, putting up the shots, involved in all the play.
George knocks herself on the head, but Anna Scarlett does the honours, gets it back for her.
Have a shot, Maria.
And she will.
She's in the zone.
Oh, now here is a warning for the Southern Steel. It's Leota again going to the sideline. That means she has to come off.
Yeah, I think she's pretty keen to come off. She was taking her bib off straight away.
You've got to remember this is a condensed season. There are some double rounds, so a lot of coaches and teams are talking about maintaining their fitness programs, making sure their players are fresh, rotating as much as possible, so that at the business end of the season, the teams have their strongest lineups available. Just a 12-week competition plus finals.
So Sophia Fenwick comes on at wing attack for the Southern Steel. Another youngster.
Used to seeing her in the shooting end.
Out of the south.
So lots of debuts here tonight for not only Steel players, but as well, there's a couple of Mystics with Anna Scarlett.
And I guess Anna sadly for the Steel, they're coming on because of injury to other players.
Yeah, we look at Leota, she's come off the court. She wasn't played in that recent series when the Silver Ferns went to England, so she's obviously still carrying still a bit of a calf injury.
Yeah, that is a worry, and it was a double worry in England for the Steel because Liana de Bruin also took very limited part in that series, only played in the first test. She had a tendon problem
Yeah, Broughton was told that this is the lineup she will have on in the first game of the season. She would have laughed a few weeks ago.
Cheeky from Latu. Didn't quite come off.
Almost told Moreira off for not being in the right position.
I suppose it doesn't matter too much, Catherine, when you're 16 goals ahead.
Oh, lovely ball by Fenwick. Make her feel good.
There you see the ice on the calf of Liana Leota.
Mystics picked up their shooting percentage to Tae Song in his last quarter.
Stepping call against Fenwick. So can the Mystics hit 50? They won't with a feed like that. Quick ball from De Bruyne, no mucking around. Too much for Paula Griffin. So play loosening up in the dying stages of this game.
I think Robin Broughton would just want to write this game off and get back to Invercargill, get her injury sorted and get her team back on track.
Oh, that's a heavy thump for Hayley Saunders. She bounces up though.
Youthful exuberance, good to see.
Oh, good effort from Latu to keep that ball alive. But it goes away at a steal. Can they finish with a flourish? No, not this time. So one end of the court to the other. There's another mistake. That's unlike Jolene Henry.
I think the whistle should go now, Jenny. There's not a lot happening out there anymore.
That ball just refusing to fall into the final minute.
Yeah, the wheels have fallen off both these teams.
And here we go again. The crowd love it. Look at this from Temepara George. Was she in or was she out? I don't know, but it looked great.
Be pretty happy with this margin, Jenny.
Yes, they didn't look terribly happy, did they? Debbie Fuller and Jenny May Coffin, her assistant coach, but they must be. I mean, jeepers, 17 goals. Not a bad win. And it's the Mystics defenders who have the final say as they back that ball away from the Southern Steel shooters. So it's a convincing win to the Northern Mystics. They've defeated the Southern Steel 51-34.
Let's look at the percentages there. 80% Mystics, Southern Steel 72. Catherine Latu led the way for the Mystics. She was solid throughout. The rebounds there slightly favouring the Mystics. Intercepts Mystics favoured as well. So all the positive aspects head towards the Mystics side. They were just too strong. They had better personnel, and I guess that's the result that we expected because of the fact that the Steel were missing so many players. Latu, as I said, 30 from 35, an outstanding performance. Paula Griffin, she's the import for the Steel. She needs to put up more and with greater accuracy for the Southern Steel if they're going to go places this season.
So the crowd here at the Trust Stadium in Auckland wend their way home. They're pleased. Their side has beaten the Southern Steel 51-34.
Welcome back to the Trust Stadium in Auckland, where the Northern Mystics have got their 2011 campaign underway with a 51-34 thrashing Catherine Harvey-Williams over the Southern Steel. 17 goals
It was a thrashing, 8 goals at half-time, so they continued on. But you've got a feel for the Southern Steel. It's a very serious competition. They spent all the summer period putting in an effort to try and be competitive this year. And before the game, they lose Whipaiti, Chocolate and Scanlon. So they were really behind the 8 ball to start, and the score was probably reflective of the talent that was out on court.
Well, she may have taken the court. Yes, Tanya Dalton, she got 6 from 6. She ended up leaving the court with a calf injury. She is now standing by with Jenny Woods.
Well, Tanya, you looked as though you were enjoying it out there. How did it feel?
I did. I loved it, actually. A little twinge in my calf, though, just as I felt like I was getting into it. But I guess it gave, you know, the young Selby Rickett time to, on the bench, to have a look and then re-inject her into the game. So hopefully I played my part there.
OK, you played your part tonight. Are we going to see you out there again playing your part?
No, this is it for me. It was always a one week, one hit wonder. Yeah, it was nice to be there, try and help out. Obviously, the Steel, you know, it wasn't their day. They've got a bit of work to do. They got turnover ball, I thought, but just we couldn't convert it down our attacking end, and that's obviously where Robbie Borton's got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, well, congratulations above and beyond at your service as a commentator.
Oh, no, I appreciate that, Jen. I'll be back with you next week.
Well, to one of our new segments now on the show, we're doing a net worth. So at the end of each game, each player out on court gets a rating out of 10 between them and their opposition. So we go through each player and rate them out of 10. And if we start down the shooting end for the Mystics, well, Catherine Latu, she was outstanding tonight. So we give her 6 points. And Liana De Bruyn actually did pretty well, came out and got some really good intercepts, especially the high ball. She picks up 4 points.
And let's have a look at Maria Tutayer. She just got the edge over Selby Rickett, particularly in the last quarter when the pressure was off. She came to the fore, a little bit quiet for the first 3 quarters, but a solid start from Tutayer for the Mystics, an important part of their side.
And Grace Rasmussen and Wendy Frew, well, they had a big tussle in the mid-court, so we couldn't really separate them, so they're 5 apiece.
And in the mid-court, it was a pretty solid effort by Temapara George. She had Frew on her back the entire game, but George is the masterclass. You don't often find an opponent who gets the better of her. So again, just getting the edge against her opponent, Wendy Frew.
And this one was a bit of a tough one. Jolene Henry and Liana Leota. Pretty tight, but Jolene Henry came away with the 6 points and Liana Leota with the 4.
And the final one there, Scarlett and Griffin. Griffin a little bit quiet. Scarlett just went on to her in the last quarter, but Griffin needs to find a little bit more injection in the game.
And finally, Tapeo Selby Rickett. Well, look, probably not the best start to the ANZ competition, but it was her very first game. She picked up the 3 points and Rachel Rasmussen the 7. So if we look down there, a total score for the Mystics 42 and the Steel 28, which is very appropriate considering the Mystics had a 17-goal thrashing over the Southern Steel. Well, we're going to head for a quick break now, and we'll be back with more analysis right after the break.
My debut in Super Rugby. My chance to test myself against the big boys. Half nerves, half excitement. This was it, and I was ready. At least I thought I was. Yep, you got me good, Benson. But that little welcome, it gave me all the motivation I could need to be harder, to be faster. So I've got all it takes to mix it up in Super Rugby this year.
Investec Super Rugby Hurricanes Highlanders. Friday on Sky Sport 1 and the Rugby Channel.
Pull yourself together, Teddy. Pull yourself together.
Gentlemen, welcome to Shutter Island. We take only the most dangerous damaged patients.
Give you a briefing about the institution before you left. All I know is it's a mental hospital for the criminally insane. These are all violent offenders, right? I mean, they've hurt people, murdered them in some cases. God help me.
The brain controls pain. The brain controls fear, empathy, sleep, hunger, anger, everything. This is a game. All of this. What if you could control it? They're experimenting on people here.
Moving somewhere?
Never leave this island.
Do you know what fear does to the mind? Corrodes it, rusts it.
You're a rat in a maze.
Shutter Island. Sunday on Sky Movies. The ICC Cricket World Cup, India-Bangladesh, Saturday live, Sky Sport 2. Brought to you by Bunnings Warehouse.
Welcome back to the Trust Stadium. Well, the Mystics had a big win over the Southern Steel, 51-34, and the Mystics there just signing some autographs. There was a big crowd in here tonight. The very first game, home game for the Mystics and first game in New Zealand. And Kath, you'd have to say the Mystics looked pretty good, but got better as the game went on and actually looked like they're having a bit of fun out there.
Yeah, when Megan Dean came on in that last quarter, she injected something special. She and Temepara George have a good relationship both on and off the court, and you could see that, and they brought Tutaia particularly into the game. So too strong, it's what we expected in terms of the result. Too much personnel, well, talented personnel, so be interesting to see now if the Mystics can actually build on that and show New Zealand that they've got the goods to actually go all the way this year.
Well, there's only 2 games in round 1. Let's take a look now and see what is coming up in round 2. And well, Saturday afternoon, the Mystics take on the Central Pulse down in Porirua. On Sunday, it's across the Tasman where the Adelaide Thunderbirds take on the big ones, the big guns, the Melbourne Vixens. Then we're back to Rotorua where the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic take on the Southern Steel. That should be a beauty. And Monday night netball, we head down to the red and black where the Canterbury Tactics are up against the youthful and talented West Coast Fever. Then the Firebirds and the Swifts are the very last game of the round. And college netball, this is exclusive to Sky Sport, and the game 1 will be Bay of Plenty Coast up against Bay of Plenty Central, and that will be Monday night, 6:30 on Sky Sport. Well, that's it from us here at the Trust Stadium. We look forward to seeing you back next Saturday when the Northern Mystics take on the Central Pulse in Wellington. Until then, have a great night.
The Sky Netball team styled by Ketski.